Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Erin, and today we are going to be doing a what's tempting me new makeup scroll through Instagram to see what makeup has caught my eye, but not necessarily makeup that I'm going to buy. I am on a low buy slash controlled buy, and I will link my video kind of explaining that up in the cards and down below, but otherwise let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing that I did that really did help with my desire and kind of impulse to buy new makeup is I deleted Instagram from my phone. I only have Instagram on my iPad, and so I have to specifically go into this device to look at anything on Instagram. So that really has helped with like late night scrolling and kind of, those impulse purchases at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be looking at posts from Trend Mood 1. I will have her account linked down below. She's kind of the end all be all of new releases. I also do follow a few indie brands, so I'll be going over some of their releases as well. So I have Instagram pulled up on my iPad, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at the Trend Mood 1 page. And I'll start with something that was put up in actually December, and this is the Marc Jacobs Paradise perfume. I do love the Marc Jacobs Daisy Love, and so when they come out with different varieties of it, then I'm interested. And also the packaging is purple. I'm wearing purple today. I love purple, so that drew me in. I did have a chance to smell this perfume on the Air Force Base here, and I didn't really like the scent, so I'm happy that I will be skipping that one. ColourPop came out with their Winx collection, and while I do find the palette intriguing, I like color, but I feel like I like to look at color more than I like to wear color, so that one was an easy pass. A lot of brands came out with their Chinese New Year collections, and Pat McGrath came out with one, but it wasn't interesting to me. I don't like red lipstick, and they did have the red lipsticks for the Lunar New Year, and really everything else looked like stuff that she just repackaged into different packaging. The NARS Orgasm collection. So of course NARS comes out with these collections every season, it seems like. The thing that drew me in was the face palette and then the like multi-stick products that they have. But I already have cream blushes that I'm trying to work through, and really face palettes, again, it's one of those things that I look at them and they're pretty and I want them, but in reality I don't use them. So that also was an easy pass for me. Charlotte Tilbury came out with highlighters, and I can honestly say I do not have any Charlotte Tilbury products in my collection at all. I find her products pretty, but I can't spend the money for them. After watching a couple videos from people that received this highlighter or bought this highlighter, the packaging is very, very cheap for what it is, and I understand we're paying for the product, but I think at this level, the packaging should at least be decent, and it sounds like from the reviews that the packaging isn't even decent. So again, I have plenty of highlighters in my collection, and while they're pretty, and it almost got me drawn in to get my first Charlotte Tilbury product, it's going to be a no for me. e.l.f. came out with color correctors. And with me only having the one color corrector in my collection, which is the Bobbi Brown one that I'm working on panning, this did seem interesting to me. I do have very dark circles on the inside of my eyes, and so at $3 or $4, this is very, very interesting. Not something that I need right now, but this might be something that I bring into my collection later on this year. There's the Quickie product from Urban Decay. It's kind of like a concealer, foundation, multi-purpose product with a brush on the end. I'm not really interested. That's not anything that I need. I either want something that's just going to be a foundation or just be a concealer, and having a brush on the end is not appealing to me. I don't really put my makeup on the go, and really that brush to me just looks like Bacteria City. Sephora came out with some Sephora collection products, and I really do like getting the minis and the Sephora collections. I like when they go on sale, of course, but I do feel like in some of these, the value's there. There's a lot of products in here that I might be interested in one or two products in the set, and so I don't see the value for myself of buying the whole set if I only am looking at one or two products. I'd rather look to see how much that mini is on its own. So Oden's Eye came out with Single Shadows. Odin's Eye is one of those companies that they're on my radar to try this year, and I almost picked up a palette from them last year, but it just wasn't in my beauty budget to do. Um, Having singles, I'm interested, but also since all the singles are shimmers, it's not necessarily where you're creating your own palette. It's really you're curating special shades for yourself. So if I ever do place an Odin's Eye order, I would possibly pick up one or two singles. But again, with them being the square pans and the majority of my single shadows are round, again, in my own head as a Virgo, like it would be out of place. And so I don't know. They are beautiful and they're very intriguing, and I've just heard amazing things about the formula. But for right now, I am kind of holding off. I saw a couple people's prediction videos about this year being kind of like the year of the blush and highlighter, and I definitely see that in the products that are coming out in January. So we have Sephora that is coming out with blushes and highlighters. Again, they look beautiful. The colors look beautiful. The price is typically right with Sephora, and they always run sales on their own brand. But I'm not in the market for any blushes or highlighters, but again, they did tempt me. I keep looking at that like baby pink color, but then I realize that I already have like two or three in my collection already that are that color. So I don't need anything else, but they do look like beautiful, beautiful colors. Um, Tarte came out with the Glow Lights, which it looks like a glowy liquid blush in the doe foot type of packaging. Again, this did draw in my attention because I've kind of wanted to try a liquid blush in that formula or that format with the doe foot. The Rare Beauty ones kind of was the inspiration, but those just feel so punchy that I feel like it would be very easy to go overboard with those. This is intriguing, but I feel like I could find something at a drugstore price instead of paying Tarte prices for these. Flower Beauty is coming out with more of their like wand style products. They had the highlighters, which everybody was saying was a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Wands. I am not interested in a liquid highlight, so I skipped those, but they did come out with bronzer and contour colors. So this is something that I would be interested in. I know in my mind, thinking about my inventory, I already have a year's worth of cream bronzer in my collection, but this would be something that if Flower Beauty went on a deal on Ulta, this is something that I would consider picking up. Apparently Glossier is coming into Sephora. I just watched the video, The Rise and Fall of Glossier from Kelly Gooch. And again, I love that series from her. I love that she does the deep dives into these companies. And it was interesting to see the like backstory to Glossier. I've never bought anything from that brand and I'm not really interested. The only thing I'd be interested in is if they ended up selling the perfume. I heard so many people rave about the You perfume from Glossier. So I'd be interested in smelling that in store just because I'm very curious what the hype is about. So ColourPop is in Target, and I have seen the kind of like end caps of the ColourPop popping up in the Targets in my area. We don't have any of the Ulta in Targets in my general location, but the 9 pans get me every time. I kind of have that collector's mentality that there's a space in my eyeshadow drawer that I keep my 9 pans and there's room for more. And I kind of feel like I need to fill that space. And so while I was drawn into these monochromatic palettes that they're coming out with, especially the green one and the purple one, I have to remind myself that I have other colors like that in my collection. But if I was to bring one of those in, I think it would be the green one. Charlotte Tilbury is coming out with the matte blushes in her wand style. I think that a lot of people are excited for these, but again, I feel like we can get these at a drugstore price. I don't think that we need to pay Charlotte Tilbury prices for this type of product. I wouldn't be surprised if Flower Beauty did something like this later on in the year also. I mean, the colors look beautiful. There only are 3 colors. I'm not sure as far as color range how deep they go. I am very pale, so beyond, saying possibly we need better shade ranges, I can't speak to how people with deeper skin would feel. But I just feel like it's been a common theme with Charlotte Tilbury that people with deeper skin have been disappointed in shade ranges for complexion products. REM Beauty is coming out with some products. It looks like an eyeshadow palette, an eyeliner, and some lashes. I think that I'm a little too old for the Ariana Grande era. Um, I mean, she is extremely talented. She is extremely beautiful. Her voice, I don't think that we will have another person in our generation that has a voice like that. I grew up with the Mariah Carey generation, so she was the voice to have whenever I was growing up. But nothing against Ariana as a person, but this just falls flat for me. This is something that I feel like CoverGirl would have done this 4 or 5 years ago in the drugstore. So nothing from REM has jumped out at me and said, yes, that needs to be in my collection. I'm also not really a fan of her perfumes. Everything smells a little bit too, and again, not to offend anybody, but smells a little bit too old lady. Like there's like a potpourri powderiness that's to those scents that I can't get over. So nothing has jumped out at me yet. But again, if something just amazing comes out from her collection that I say, yes, I need that in my life, I would consider picking something up. So e.l.f. is coming out with a collection, the Good Vibes collection. Looks like there's a face stick, a primer, some brushes, some gems, things like that. The collection looks adorable, and I love trying new primers. I'd be interested to see what kind of primer this is. Is it smoothing? Is it glowy? Is it sticky? What is it? It is nice to try different things, and I love e.l.f. primers anyway, so that is probably, if I was to pick anything up from that collection, I'd want to try the primer out, but everything else just kind of doesn't inspire me. So Valentino has some new fragrances coming out, and this is part of their Born in Roma collection. So I have the Born in Roma Coral in a mini, and I have also had the Born in Roma Yellow on my wish list. And I don't know what it is about this collection of scents, but there's something just so rich and robust about them, and they last all day. Like, I'll walk back into my closet where I spray my perfume, and I'll walk in my closet and it'll just smell in my closet, and I'm just like, oh, what is that? It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. So this one, again, I'm trying to stay away from full-size perfumes, so if they came out with this scent in a mini, it would be something that I would be interested in. Sigma has a new palette. So this is the Anok. Is that how you pronounce her name? If I did pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. But this is a beautiful palette with warm tones, and then a little bit of cool tones, and then some blues and purples. So at first I was really drawn into this palette. It looks absolutely stunning, but there's a few things that made me take a step back. Number one, it's huge. I mean, if you think about two Sigma palettes stacked on top of each other, that's how big this palette would be. And not only that, but I feel like I have those warm tones in every single other palette. It has a black that I would never use. It has some purples that are beautiful, but the two blues I would never use. So while this looks like an absolutely beautiful palette, and congratulations to the person who collaborated, it's just not something that would fit into my makeup usage right now. Oh, ColourPop and their Valentine's release. So while I wasn't drawn into the palette, while I do like warm looks, red is not necessarily a shade that I wear a whole lot. Underneath all of this, my skin flushes extremely red, so I am red anyway, so I try not to put a whole lot of more red onto my face. But the blushes look beautiful, and I've held out on not buying any of these blushes over the past couple years since they've had out the heart packaging, and they almost drew me in again. But I think with how bulky the packaging is, plus every single YouTuber complains about how hard it is to open these packages. And it seems like ColourPop is not addressing it at all. But I think that if I looked in my blush collection, I would have every single shade. So I was able to skip over these even though they really did draw me in. There's some new shades from Lawless for the Forget the Filler gloss. This gloss is on my wish list to pick up during one of the Sephora sales. These two colors, I'm not sure if these would be ones. One's kind of like a murky taupe, and then the other one's kind of like a bright pink with shimmer. I do have the red shade on my wish list, just because I feel like if I'm not ever going to wear red lip products, at least a red gloss like that is something that I can kind of have a punchy look without the opaque color of a lipstick. Natasha Denona is releasing some slim lipsticks in red colors for Valentine's Day with matching lip liners. Again, I'm not going to wear red lips, so that one is easy for me to pass on. Milani has a Luminoso collection. I never owned the Luminoso blush. It just never made its way into my life. They do have a liquid blush in this collection with the sponge tip on it. That might be something that I would be interested in as a liquid blush, but that's something, again, down the line that I might pick up on a Walmart trip or something like that. The glosses from Milani, I like them, but I go through them so quickly. It takes me like 2.5 months to go through a gloss. And I understand that's probably a good thing because then I'm actually cycling through my makeup. But again, I think that if I'm going to buy a gloss, I want something that's going to be a little bit more long wearing. HipDot is releasing some other products with some bands. Now, of course, I'm from the time where Evanescence was like the thing. You know, you would play that in your car at night with the windows down, screaming your lungs out and singing. So, but again, it's blues. It's not really something that's up my alley. I heard there was some controversy around this release, but nothing from HipDot has really drawn me in. While they are doing a lot of like nostalgic collabs, nothing is good enough that it's really like grabbing me. ColourPop does an amazing job at grabbing us with our nostalgia. Oh, the Pat McGrath Valentine's collection. So, I am signed up for emails for Pat McGrath, so of course I get all the emails about the releases that are coming out, and this almost had me. And the amount of times that I have gone to the Pat McGrath website and clicked on this collection and looked at it over the past couple days, they almost got me. And it's mainly the more pinky toned palette. Hopefully editing me is popping up pictures, but the this palette almost got me. And of course in their emails are like, oh, here's a coupon code for 10% off. But 10% off $65 is only $6.50. So that, still paying $60 for this palette, I still can't bring myself to do it. Also, it looks like she brought back other lipsticks in the Bridgerton packaging. I did not buy any of the lipsticks from those collections. I heard a lot of people were disappointed because the packaging felt cheaper. And so, again, I'm not in the market for any high-end lipsticks right now, even though I do have some lipsticks coming in. But for right now, I think I'm able to skip over this collection, even though that pink palette just, I'm looking at it right now and it almost got me. Tarte has some other cream blushes, again, in that kind of squeezy tube with the puff packaging. Again, I just don't feel like I need something high-end for this type of product. Trendmood leaked that Natasha Denona may be coming into Ulta. And that was extremely interesting because, of course, a lot of us love the Ulta points and reward system a lot more than Sephora's. And so it'd be very interesting to see what happens if Natasha Denona comes into Ulta. But what I'm a little bit worried about is Ulta is bringing in so many brands that they're not going to have room. So what happens in store and what brands are going to be available to us in store? Because I already feel like they are so jammed packed with different brands that I don't know. I know Tarte and Urban Decay have pretty big sections, and Clinique have pretty big sections in Ulta. I wonder if some of those brands are going to end up having to pare down their sections to make room for not only Natasha Denona, but it was confirmed that Dior is coming into Ulta. So Nomad came out with a new palette. Nomad is another indie brand that's on my radar. And so this was their Love and Death kind of Romeo and Juliet kind of palette. I did watch Angelica Nyquist's video on this, and her looks are absolutely beautiful. But with the palette leaning so pink and red and then also so blue, both colors that I'm not really interested in. So there are other Nomad palettes that I would be more interested in that have more earthy tones to them, but this one looks absolutely gorgeous. It's just not for me. The Too Faced blushes. Too Faced knows what they're doing with cute packaging. And again, this is something, I actually do have one of these shades on my wish list. I'll pop up what shade is kind of drawing me in. I looked at my blush collection and I realized a lot of my blushes lean pink or purple. And I mean, I do a lot of pink and purple looks, but I'm missing kind of that peachy tone. And I love wearing warm tones also. So if I was to pick up a powder blush, I'm pretty sure it would be one of these ones from Too Faced. So that might be coming into my collection in the upcoming months. I've not tried anything from Kosas, and they're another brand that's a little bit on my radar. I had some samples of their foundation and it didn't really work for me. It broke up too quickly on my oily skin, but they're coming out with kind of like an illuminator product, and the shade range that they have is pretty amazing. Usually we don't see those types of products go that deep, so kudos to them. But I did pick up another product that is kind of like this, and so wait for my buys and buys video around the 15th, 14th or 15th of February, and you'll see what I picked up. I was anticipating getting the Natasha Denona Valentine's release. I have the original midi size Love palette, and then I have the mini size Love. I didn't buy the mini Crush just because the colors were a little bit too vibrant, and just the magentas in there were a little bit too vibrant for me. But the more cool tone, kind of toned down of the mini Love, absolutely love that palette. So I do have both of those. So for Valentine's Day this year, she released a eye and face palette. She did the eye and face palette, was it last year or the year before? And so this one, it has me thinking, because it has a blush, a highlighter, which I don't need either one of those, but the eye shades are beautiful. If she would have released a mini with just those eye shades, it would have been in my cart already. It would have been on the way to me. But with this, since the face palettes, the face and eye palettes are what, $69, the same price as her middies, I really would have to think if I'm going to get that much use out of this palette as a whole. And I really, if I'm honest with myself, the answer is going to be no. So I think for right now, this is something that I can skip over, but in the future, if this goes on super sale, super discount, this might be something that would join my collection. Lawless is also coming out with a lip product that's kind of like that very meltdown type of product. I think everybody compares those to the Makeup by Mario ones. They're beautiful shades. I can't bring myself to pay high-end prices for a lip product like this. There's a lot of drugstore options that have lip products like this that I would buy those over these. So releases that have come out today. I am filming this on the 30th, which is the day before it comes out. So hopefully editing me has fun tonight. But it looks like KVD is coming out with a new foundation. I haven't owned anything from KVD after the rebrand, or while Kat Von D was involved with the brand. I haven't owned anything apart from eyeliners. So while the shade range looks relatively, I mean, I think that she was really good about shade ranges in the past, and so I'm sure that the company is doing that as well now. But I'm not in the market for a high-end foundation right now, and I would have to see, oh, it's part of the Good Apple family. I've heard so many mixed reviews about the Good Apple formulas, so I think for right now I can skip that. Tom Ford has a new stick concealer, and let's face it, I don't make Tom Ford money. I don't. So if I'm gonna buy a concealer stick, I will go get the, oh goodness, the Neutrogena one. A lot of people rave about. So for right now, I do not have Tom Ford money, so I will not be getting Tom Ford products. So those are some of the new makeup releases and some products that have been tempting me this month. I did pick up some things in January, and so again, be on the lookout for my buys and buys video to see what I picked up. I do have a lot of different products added to my loves list to kind of think on and kind of mull it over and see if it's in the budget, or maybe pick up some of these things whenever they go on sale. If there's anything that has caught your attention that has been released this month, leave me a comment down below. I'm very interested to see what you are interested in. Thank you so much for watching. Drop me a comment, a like, a subscribe, do all the things. I thank you for being here, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.